Alright, we are recording. It is getting late. So, yeah. I'm, hopefully gonna be able to keep this short, but I don't know. Are these the same people as before? It's still Chuck Dixon writing it. Okay, yeah. Jack Herbert is still the artist, but now it's Marco Lesko for the colors instead of Candace Han from before, or Han. Alright, a new civil war has begun. Unsatisfied with being told to sit on their hands by the United States, the people of Texas and their newly sworn governor, Plessy Sanders, are determined to establish their sovereignty as an independent nation. But the leaders of their former union have no intention of letting the Lone Star State walk away easily. With the U.S. employing dangerous, superpowered individuals to bring Texas to heel, Governor Sanders might fight a new arms race, one for the use of XEPs in modern warfare with the help of General Brian Solari and a new team of exceptional soldiers. Alright. Yeah, I got lots of notes on this. Yeah, so I've got, just off that introduction, and it does kind of get answered, but it's not answered in a way I think that is reasonable. So you got the U.S. Here's Texas. Texas is big, but it's here. U.S. is here. And yet, it's still like, oh, well, you've got XEP soldiers. Well, we can do that too. We got that too. It's like, you're much smaller. You're always going to be overwhelmed in numbers. So it's like, how does this really work? I mean, yeah. What else do I have for this? Yeah, I mean, it's just, so apparently they are just common enough for a state to have enough to respond to the nation. And it's just, that is a problem. It's like, how common are these XEPs? Because this is technically the first story set on Earth. But these are already existing individuals. Well, are already, the idea of exceptionals is pre-existing. It's already established. But the timeline for that has not been given. It's not been stated. Which is a problem. I mean, it's... Because you need to understand that to have a sense of the scale of their presence. But it's just not here. I mean, it's not directly... Well, it is kind of relevant and also isn't. With my superhero stories, the first one, Failure, he is the first... Sam in that is the first one. Okay, there aren't any prior to him. Technically, I do set up... I do state in the second book, Gentlemen of Gifts, that there have been people throughout history that have had... Well, no, that's not a good way to put it. It's more that for some of the abilities that people have, like Constance in that story, it's not the most obvious. I didn't feel the need to make it that obvious, but this is the case. This is the canon there, because her whole thing is light. She actually had incredibly good vision before her abilities manifested. And there have been people like that beforehand, where it's just the abilities never manifested, but there was still something like they had better sight, they had better hearing, they were just stronger than normal, they were healthier than normal, but they weren't to abnormal levels. Sam is the first in Failure for his abilities to manifest, and his abilities would not have tied into something else that would just be present before the manifesting. But I actually do have it in that the idea is basically once the world saw that it's possible for somebody to have superpowers, their abilities start manifesting. So yeah, he's the anomaly. Everyone else is just starting from that. But it's like, there's this start point. So that's why, and I deal with that. That's part of the point of the second book, is dealing with, now you're having people with these abilities manifesting. Here, no, they're just around. They're just part of the world. That's kind of significant information. And it's like, okay, where are they? Yes, you'd expect the U.S. to have a large number of them because, well, the U.S. to have a larger number of them than Texas, because Texas is smaller. But the idea that you need to find them, it's like, well, shouldn't some be in the military, be in the Guard, National Guard already, just because they're a portion of the population? Anyway, we get the letter here that is Chuck Dixon writing at this time. Does mention there that there is 4 stories to the Great War of Separation, only 2 in this. I'm not sure if others have been put out and just aren't included in this, that they're outside of year 3. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know how much I necessarily care one way or the other. I mean, it's unfortunate that I don't have the complete story, but if it's not finished, it's not finished. And yeah, it's just. Also, I'm not. Did I already say? I think. Well, even if I didn't already say it, I know I'll be saying it again. I might as well say it now. I gave this. It's in the 0. It's just a straight fail to recommend because it's just. It is kind of interesting, but there's also a lot of stuff that is just, to me, it's stupid. It's contrivances, and I hate those. First page here is just showing us that Avery, his mom, and his sister have gotten to his aunt's house in Flores Park. Cool. Fine. We then get to the action here, which is the whatever the hell the name was for the excerpts that were DARPA had already pulled together, mentioned at the end of part 1. And they're dropping in onto Texas to do their whole thing. It's like, okay, but how are they dropping in? Oh, Resolute Fist, that's the name of that. How are they being dropped in? A B-2 bomber. I will grant I don't know B-2s that well, and I can believe this is not public information anyway. But I have a strong suspicion that their bomb bays are not pressurized, meaning you can't have people in there. I can also believe that they are not sized to fit people in there, such that they could drop from them. Like, they're meant to just, here's a bomb that's anchored to the ceiling of it, doors open, and then whoop, release. Or actually, you might have explosives up here that actually force it down to make sure it gets far enough away from the aircraft that it can't accidentally get picked back up by the air pressure and strike the plane. That's a problem. But it's like, no, we're going to do this, and we're just going to have people jump out. It's like, no, you're not. That's just stupid. And also, the payload was not the usual cluster ordnance or JDAMs. Why you would be having a B-2 drop JDAMs? Because I've been seeing some of this stuff talked about. I think JDAMs are the ones where it's like, no, we just stick those on conventional bombs to make them more accurate. You wouldn't use a B-2 to drop the. I mean, a B-2 is so advanced, and that's borderline conventional ordnance. You're dropping more interesting stuff out of a B-2. Cluster ordnance. I think we do use that. So, yeah. That might be. But, yeah, they were dropping human, superhuman. And their signatures were too small for radar to pick up. Actually, no. So many years ago, I worked with a piece of software, I used a piece of software that could actually integrate in to, it was a globe mapping thing, but it could integrate into NOAA's, the National Oceanographic and Atmosphere Administration, is that it? Anyway, it could tie into its weather radar system, which used something called NexRad for Next Generation Radar, which could resolve down to centimeters and was actually able to specifically track precipitation in the air. That's what it was designed for. Okay, and I think it was actually not even, I think it could go smaller than centimeters. Like, they could tell particulate in the air with this stuff. Military radar should be able to pick up a human falling. Okay, I'm just, it'll see that, oh, it's a human, but it's still going to pick that up. In fact, it also just occurred to me, the B-2 has the radar cross-section for it resembles that of a sparrow. So let's just stop and think about it. A sparrow is obviously smaller than a human being. Okay, so you working radar and you see it, there's a sparrow on there. Now, if you just know, because this is apparently public knowledge, that a B-2 appears like a sparrow on radar. If you cannot normally pick up something as small as a sparrow on the radar, you suddenly see that sparrow, it's like, oh, I know what that is. It's not stealth anymore. So the radar already has to be able to pick up something the size of a sparrow, which is smaller than a human, so obviously radar can pick up a human. And there's no reason to believe that the National Guard of Texas wouldn't have access to stuff better than picking up a sparrow. And also, as I said, weather radar might be capable. there is weather radar that would be sensitive enough to pick up something of that size. It might be tuned more so for water in the atmosphere than people. I will grant that. Okay, that it might be tuned to look for different materials, but it still is. The technology would exist to be able to see them coming in. Like, that is not unreasonable. Okay, so it's like this. The claim that, no, too small for radar pick up. No, they would be picked up. Which is actually, I do kind of wonder about that a little bit. Like, do we do much? Because I'm just thinking, with the Venezuela thing, my understanding is helicopters were used. Well, helicopters can be stealth, so you can avoid stuff like that. Whereas if you're dropping, you need the person to be stealth and the parachute to be stealth. That's not reasonable. But a helicopter can be stealth, so you can go down there. Of course, the plan was to bring them in. With Iran, we're not putting boots on the ground, but we'd probably do that through either amphibious or terrestrial means, at one of the borders, not just in the middle. Have we had a conflict where we were trying to parachute people in such that we didn't already have air supremacy, meaning that the radars would also be destroyed? So, yeah, I mean, it feels like a lot in this book, in this story. Sorry, I keep wanting to say books because they are technically separate comic books just collected together in the omnibus, but it feels like so much of this is ooh, wouldn't this look cool? Let's put this in here. And I'm just like, I think these things through because I have a technical mind. So I start thinking them through. It's like, wait, no, this doesn't make sense because it'd be this consequence, this consequence, this consequence. Or just hey, I know this stuff. Like, B2 looks like a sparrow on radar. If you can't already pick up sparrows on radar, you know it's a B2. So clearly then, radar can pick up people which are larger than sparrows. So it's just, you get problems there, but it's also turn the page, because some of them are parachuting in. But there's one dude who, he's just going to crash in through the top of the Capitol, the Capitol building, which, I don't know its construction, but one thing I do want to note, the U.S. Capitol, that actually has, I think it's iron, but it has a massive metal dome in there. Right, so you're not crashing through stone or crashing through concrete, which breaks. You're smashing into metal, a really big piece of it. I don't think you're necessarily going through that. Now, that might not be the case here. I'm just pointing out that the architecture may actually prevent that. It's like he lands inside, like within the rotunda. And it's just, okay, what's the response? You have two guardsmen inside that I'm not sure if it actually is or not, but I'm just going to say it's an RPG. And he shoots at the guy's face. And he takes it, but it's just like, wait a minute. Let's... What did we just have on the previous page? The B-2 stealth bomber has dropped in. We're just going to... I'm going to try to just not move on from the criticism of that. B-2 stealth bomber has dropped people who are now parachuting. This guy, and it's like, well, the stealth bomber, you can't see it. The people, you can't see it. Yeah, but you can't see it on radar. Fine. This dude, he's taken off his parachute to come in at speed and just smash through the Capitol and lands in the rotunda. Okay, so this is obviously stealth. It is surprise. It's like, hey, we're taking them by surprise. We already got an RPG inside a building, and we're just going to aim it and boom, hit you in the face. It's like, what? I was like, these dudes are just ready and there. It's like, so they knew it was coming, but they didn't respond to like do things like shoot down the B-2 before it got there, shoot them when they were shoot them while they were on the parachutes, in the air, do things. No responses like that. Just, hey, they're here. And oh, we knew you. What the hell is this? It's like, hey, I know somebody is going to rob my house, and the fence is about 100 yards away, and there's a fence there. And I have rifles, and instead of doing anything to stop them crossing the fence, to stop them crossing the yard, no, I'm going to let them get in so I can hit them with the shotgun. No! None of this is intelligent! Fine, the Capitol is well guarded. It's stupid, Because again, it's like, why would you guard the Capitol this heavily? Yes, I get the importance of a capital in a war. I get that. That's not the criticism. It's that you have no reason to believe that the lines are near the Capitol. Why are you expending so many resources to secure it like this? But also not securing it, as I will get to a little later, mentions in here that some of the XFs they're not trained. They're crazy. Okay? They're not a unit, so they're actually a danger to each other. But still, they're just able... The guardsmen are able to handle them. One dude comes in, he's basically Cyclops. He has the ability to emit beams from his eyes that'll just cut through things. He walks to the governor's office and then cuts through the office and the desk. Doesn't hit the governor. He's coming behind, which I do want to mention something about. Like, you'll see in movies and television, it's like somebody starts firing, laser eyes or not, someone starts firing and you see people throwing over tables and hiding behind them. I'm not certain about this, but I'm fairly confident that that is a completely appropriate strategy to do, but not to block the bullets. Bullets can go through tables and go through desks. But you're obscuring where you are. So now you're less likely to get hit because of that, of being obscured. But here's the thing. They are coming for the governor. This is at night. Okay, this is at night. We can see that in... here, let me just... Yeah. So here we got the B2 up here, right? But you can see the tops of the clouds, because this is the top of the B2, the tops of the clouds are not illuminated. The ground is. This is clearly at night because the sun would be illuminating the tops of the clouds. So it's just the glow of city lights. Okay, now... So it is at night, and there's other spots as well where it's, it's blue outside, so it's night. Here's the governor's office. Okay, desk, cut through. What's that behind him? What's that behind the desk? Windows. So we have a mission that involves getting the governor one way or another. Taking him, killing him, or taking him alive. So to do that, we're going to assault the building. Right? We're going to land outside the building and start charging at its front, which is guarded. We're going to smash through the rotunda. We're going to do that. We can get somebody just mysteriously inside. It's actually not explained how the hell he's inside and doing any of this. This dude with the laser eyes. We're going to do all that, but what we're not going to do, we're not going to do this, is approach the damn exterior window of the governor's office, avoiding everything on the inside, avoiding the choke points, avoiding the guards on this. We're not going to do anything. The governor's also in the room. He hasn't been moved to a different city for his safety. He has been moved to a bunker, assuming that there is a bunker there. No, he's going to be in a room with an exterior wall. I feel like there was something more. I'm not thinking about it. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. These are all U.S. citizens. Why do you need the B2? Why do you need to drop them in? You can walk people in. All right, maybe... Okay, the borders are closed. Texas also has a coastline. And you have the Navy. You can bring people up there and just have them walk in. What are you going to worry about? Them checking IDs? You're the United States government. You think you can't fake some Texas IDs? You can have them walk in. Now, true, these people are crazy, but it's also kind of a... Maybe don't use the crazy ones, or maybe don't use them at all. Just have people walk in, get around the building, and respond accordingly. I mean, it's like, this is... You don't need people with powers for this. You just need people. And they can take their time. They can walk there. They can drive there. You don't need to do this stuff that looks cool, but doesn't serve a purpose. You can get people so that they are... Yeah, and also some of the National Guard might actually be on your side, too. But it's like, you can get people so they can get outside that window. And you then have an assault happening at the front, but then smash through the window, grab the guy, extract. When no one knows what's going on. True, it'll take a few dozen people, potentially, between those two groups. But you can do that. You can make sure that they're actually well-trained and disciplined soldiers and Marines and so on and so forth, as opposed to just crazy people with powers, but crazy people. It's like... So the governor's response to this guy cutting through his desk and, trying to kill him is, just pulls out his guns, his 6-shooters, because of course he's going to use revolvers, and just shoots the guy. I mean, to be fair, if there's no reason to doubt that, that bullets would work on him, I mean, sure, go right ahead. I can't criticize. It's more so the whole why is this revolvers? I mean, it just... I don't know, I think some sort of pistol, Colt 1911. That's a different thing. It's like, why wouldn't you go for that? Anyway, we then got we got an accept gap. It's like, son of... So this gets into the whole, how many accepts are there? How long have they known about this? And it's even mentioned. I saw a few at the state fair a couple of years back. So they've been around for years, at least. And it's just... It's a whole... What is the scale of the accept presence? It seems to be non-existent. I mean, it's... You'd already have some in the National Guard, it would seem, because they should just be around. So now it's hey, go find them. By the way, so many of the accepts that were sent in are captured. And it mentions that, they got collars put on them with a half pound of C4. I was curious, so I looked this up. What would be the power of a half pound of C4? It would have a blast radius of, I just want to see where it, 15 to 30 feet, depending on containment. A half pound of C4 means that, that's a blast radius. So that's enough to destroy the inside of any vehicle you'd be transporting them in. So if this accidentally detonates while they're in this truck that you're using to take them somewhere, to secure them, that whole truck is going up. Everyone in there is being killed, okay? I'm sorry, I get the whole... explosive collar thing. I get that. I understand that. But that's the wrong amount of explosive because it kills everyone. I mean, it kills everyone. It's a stupid amount. Zeno's still around, but it even occurred to me as this keeps going, I got no idea what the hell he's doing. Here, let me try looking back into the previous book, previous story, to see if I can figure out what he's doing. You have to do something Hefe, get Zeno. Okay, so that's it. It's just get him. We don't know what his mission is. He's just going through, taking people's identities, taking people's voices, things like that, and just killing them. And it's like, okay, to what end? No idea. President is on Air Force One, and is, going through battle plan kind of stuff there. And it's like, fine, whatever. OPEC calls. It's like, because a free Texas would have the price of oil, the impact, that a free Texas would have on the price of oil, because, would just start producing more and drive down pricing. Maybe. I mean, That's not necessarily going to be the best economic advantage to Texas. There's also, if they're now fighting a war, they want to, secure their own resources first. But the idea here of, basically going after the infrastructure, the oil and natural gas infrastructure in Texas. And this is stupid. Not because that is something you need to be concerned with in this situation. No, you absolutely would need to be concerned with it. But it's, where's it going? Because it's either pipelines going from Texas into Mexico, okay, destroy those. Or leave them because it's limited. Or pipelines going into the rest of the continental U.S., which, well, we can shut those down, which leaves the coast. You have the Navy and the Coast Guard. You just blockade it. Let Texas do whatever the hell it wants. It can drill up and process as much oil as it wants. If it can't go onto the market, OPEC isn't impacted. And you don't need to touch the infrastructure. I mean, technically you do want to because you want to cut off that resource for Texas. There is that, yes. But the presentation here is just, no, it's stupid. It doesn't matter. You have so many other ways of controlling this. You don't need to do that. Technically, it does set up that, why is Flores Park going to get hit? Because it has some of this. Yeah, it has a couple oil refineries there, so that makes it a target. But it still is you don't need to do that. And even then, what they end up doing is so stupid. So finally get to the efforts of trying to get accepts on the side of Texas. And it's like, well, there are those in prison. Obviously, you don't want to use them because, criminals. There's those in the insane asylums. Again, don't want to use them because they're insane. And then those that were hiding in plain sight, and shows, like, dude kind of dressed up like a clown. Why is he in a parka? In Texas. I'm noticing that now. In fact, and there's a woman here in a scarf. Does Texas just... I mean, I guess you could just get used to the idea that 50s is freezing. I don't know. But, yeah, he's just then, like, levitating a kid, and it's like, just hiding in plain sight. Whatever. But still, it's like, there would be some in the National Guard, as I said. But it's still, okay, what are they going to do? How can they solve this problem? And it's like, the national government has all these excepts, and we don't really. Because, we're not using the criminal and the crazies. Even though the federal government is. That's where they're drawing their resources from. So what are they going to do? Well, they got an idea. But it's also, hey, now General Solari comes up. And the governor is like, Solari! Cool, they know each other. Okay. How we get the whole, I heard you resigned your commission, I gave an oath. They wanted me to break it, plus. His name is Plessy. I was like, wait a minute, what was this oath? Because if you're going to try to say that, it was an oath to defend the Constitution, all that, and defend the peoples of the United States, what is he doing by joining the Texas Army? Fighting citizens of the United States. Just the federal government side instead of the Union side instead of the Texas side. So it's like he's still breaking the oath. I'm sorry, the oath aspect to it is what doesn't make sense. If it were more of a, no, this is the side I want to fight on. This is my home. Okay, I can work with that. I can understand that. But this, what the hell's the oath? That he feels that the Union would ask him to break it by him acting, but Texas is not asking him to break it by the same actions, by committing the same actions. Anyway, so what's the plan? I'm pretty sure it said Texas A&M. Let me just... yeah, at A&M. They have a plan. Which, by the way, it's the next day, which I'm going to be criticizing the hell out of that shortly. It's like, yeah, they literally have the, pods we're just going to put people in. Already built. Have the whole facility ready. It's all experimental, but yeah, we have this ready to work with multiple people. And it's basically, if you've seen the movie Deadpool, I don't know how accurate this is in the comics. Basically, they're doing that. It's Project X kind of thing where it's like, oh, well, we've scanned you guys to figure out if you are genetically predisposed to have latent abilities. And looks like you guys are. So we're going to run you through this to try to bring that out. Yeah, you have a range of genetic markers that make you candidates for this program. It's a regimen of therapies designed to enhance latent abilities hidden in the human genome. We look for exceptional factors in the DNA and flip the switch from off to on. That is how gene activation kind of works. From my understanding of it, this is correct. I'm not faulting. I don't know if there's probably a lot I do not know for some reason. That's not part of my background. But I do know that, yeah, genes constantly turning on and off. There's actually one of those funny things that they found depression can actually cause a gene to activate such that it kind of then makes depression continue on. And it does then make it very interesting. So I was like, wait, depression isn't just like neurochemical in the brain. It actually has physiological effects throughout your body. It's one of those things where it's like, whoa, that's weird. But anyway. To that end, these pods will bombard you with a mixed array of ions. Does that mean radiation? Not at all, General. So by and large, you would be, like high school physics, and even earlier, you would be taught about alpha particles, beta particles, and gamma rays. Or alpha rays, beta rays, and gamma rays, right? Gamma rays, gamma radiation, that's the electromagnetic radiation, very high frequency, it's light. Beta rays are electrons. I mean, legitimately, that's what they are. They're just electrons that get shot out. That's what they are. Alpha particles, alpha rays, are helium nuclei. 2 protons, 2 neutrons. No electrons. Meaning they're ions. Meaning, these bombarded with a mixed array of ions, yes, that is radiation. Why you gotta lie in here? I mean, it just... But it's also, yeah, it's gonna hurt like hell. We get the macho thing that I'm sorry, I hate this. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Because, like, the general is one of the candidates for this. And he's, all macho with this, that it's like, then I'm the first one in the barrel. General, I don't think I passed your screening process. I'm a candidate for the program. And I'm not about to order my troops to do anything I'm not willing to do myself. Okay, that's fine. You're willing to do it. Here's the thing, though. You're a general, okay? Generals aren't really supposed to be in combat. They're supposed to be leading, okay? Like, I mentioned Empire Strikes Back in the previous one. I'm going to mention it again here. They put a general in that literally at the head of the assault on Hoth. And he gets killed. A general's very valuable. You don't want them killed. He should have been back, watching it with binoculars, with getting reports in and saying, okay, do this, do this, do this. Responding to things, which, by the way, that's another thing I'm going to be criticizing later. It's just, that is the role of a general. He cannot jeopardize his life. He is more valuable with just being a normal human without any special abilities unlocked. He is more valuable like that than a private, a corporal, a sergeant, a lieutenant, a captain, a major, major to colonel. Then he's more valuable than any of those. That's why he's a general. That's why he's at a higher rank above them. I get the whole, I'm not going to ask him to do anything I wouldn't do. It's like, fine, that can be nice for morale, but we're talking about something exceedingly experimental. Okay? And it's just, yeah, you'll experience a great deal of pain, but there's not even like a question of, might it kill us? Well, actually, no, that does come up a little later. It's like, only 2 of them exploded when this is being tested on rats. But that comes up later. Like, he's already gone through at least one process, and it's like, now, it's like, oh yeah, you might have exploded. It's like, you should have started with that. That needs to be at the front. That question should have been asked. I get the whole, well, now he's drinking something so he can have a spit take. I get how, oh, isn't that funny? But it's not what you would ever do. It's too important to just, we'll tell you that later. What's this? But it gets worse. So he's going through this therapy. And it takes multiple things for it to happen. How many times am I going to be exposed to this? Well, it varies. Depends on the person. But eventually he just develops super strength. Like, he's benching, 4 tons. Which actually, I say, look at that, is nonsense. Because I think those racks up there are just for storage. But I mean, it's like, in order for him to bench a barbell that's 4 tons, that means that the bar itself has to be able to hold 4 tons. That's a lot. I don't think so. And it's being shown perfectly. I'm sorry. It's that whole. I know I'm getting technical, but it's one of those things where it's like, show it bending while he's lifting it to heighten the fact that, yeah, this is a lot. Or have him lifting other things. They then show him, for training, for practicing, ripping the top off of a tank. The entire turret off of a tank, and then smashing it. It's like, okay, but why are you also wasting a tank? But it's like, fine, you show that. That makes better sense than him bench pressing something and just saying it's 4 tons. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Or use some other mechanism to show that it is of such great weight than this. I mean, it would put him underneath a tank and is benching that. I mean, it's like, there's so many other things you do that makes so much more sense. But for 6 days, he's going through a treatment. Then finally, he does a test drive where he just sees how far he can jump because he's super strong. Not flying, but super strong. Including with his legs. He lands hard, but he's okay. He's alive. The project ramped up after that. So, for a week, the general's been going through this. There has been no mention of any of the conflict. None at all. Yeah, it's like, okay, other people going through it. Each one, their abilities have manifested in different ways. Cut back to Xeno for a little bit, then what the federal government is doing. I'm going to come back to that. Because another month of training and we'd be combat ready. Okay, I guess it is, we're not necessarily sure a month has passed, but it still is. He took a week. Fine, it varies. You're doing multiple people. I think it's reasonable to say that another week, even if they're doing it all in parallel, another week has passed, or 2 weeks. But it's just, yeah, so I guess, no, a month hasn't passed, but it still is. Nothing's happened. We're not talking about anything. It's like, oh, I guess the war is on hold. It's like, hey, federal government, Texas here, would you mind waiting? We're preparing our own super soldiers. Could you wait until they're ready? Yeah, sure, we'll do it. What is this? And this is, again, the general would be needed for that week. He can't be off getting these, I mean, maybe the therapies are quick, but it's like, okay, I can give you an hour a day. All the rest I need for taking care of this. But no, he has to be distracted doing this stuff. I did turns in the pod and slept a lot and drank gallons of Ted's special shake, something to, like, help him recover. That's what he spat out when he was told, oh yeah, it's only 2 of them. Well, yeah, only 2 of them exploded. But it's just, apparently, it's unimportant if you're a general. Yeah, you're a general, but you don't have any special responsibilities. You can just do this. Let's just get to the situation with the federal government, which is like, well, that first group, they were either killed or captured. Well, I guess we need to get more exceps. Where are we going to go? Well, why don't we go to the criminals? Why don't we go to the prisons, get them? Because that's a great idea. Let's just do that and offer them a pardon if they succeed. Yeah. What? Texas A&M already has this stuff built to just make more exceps. It's just there. They have it. But no other university in the nation does. No one has built this. No one has theorized about this. No one has figured it out that they could start doing this. So, we just have a series of contrivances here. One after another, after another, after another. I hate contrivances. I really do. Because you're not telling me the story that's happening. You're telling me the story you want to tell. And there are subtle differences between those. Because yes, technically it is true. When I sit down and I tell a story, even as much as I actively avoid contrivances, it's still technically I'm telling the story I want to tell. Technically that's still the case. But at least if it's there's no contrivances, or very, very few, at least it is the events of the story are following what makes sense in the story. Okay, it's not thready. Sequence of contrivances, pretty thready. So yeah, this is just so... And they're also not even just going to be using these excerpts. And by the way, one of them, because I'm also seeing that it's preparing us for one of them here. It's teasing one of them, and it's like, yeah, that's stupid. I'll get to that, though. Yeah, so they're not just going to have the excerpts go in. No, they're going to do something to make it better. It's stupid. It's a truly stupid well, it's not a stupid contrivance, it's a stupid decision. Technically, there's still a contrivance here, but it's... Get to that. So they finally decided that they're going to, the federal government has decided, okay, we're just going to launch in cruise missiles, except they're not. Like, even what how they're depicted is just bombs, that, like, they don't have the wings to cruise. So they... actually is a problem. Now that I'm looking at it, like, that it can't work that way. But anyway, they decide we're just going to fire those in and try to take out the infrastructure, except they're not actually explosives. And it's like, defenses are taking them out. Some get through. For every one down, 3 more made it through. So 1 out of 4 are destroyed, 75% get through. But what are they? What's actually in them, if not explosives? People. If they put the excepts in them. Except it's not even just that, but let me just point out that missiles go fast. And when they hit the ground, they suddenly stop. That's a lot of acceleration. That's a lot of force. Suddenly stopped. You're basically saying that you're having people crash planes and then walking out, walking away from them. Like, and not just crash plane, but crash a plane. Be like, oh yeah, I can totally walk away from this and start fighting. That's a contrivance. But then there's this. That's a stupid decision. Because, yeah, the excerpts are there, but notice. Come on. They're in mech suits. Just... So I had a dude previously in this story. Super strong. He can drop without a parachute, bust through the dome of a building, take an RPG to the face. He can do all that. He's that strong, that powerful, that resilient. I'm going to put him in something that's not that strong, not that powerful, not that resilient, so that then that can get blown away and then he can start using his abilities. I got a guy that can shoot lasers from his eyes, but I'm going to put him in a suit that won't let him do that, so that then he can use that suit, but when the suit is destroyed and he walks out just fine, even though he has no special resilience, he got shot in the head, he's dead. And it's like, that's the plan. What the hell is wrong with you? No, you don't do that. You use the resources that you have to the fullest of their ability. That means the excepts, you just use their abilities. You don't modify. You don't. Well, if you can modify them, fine. But you're modifying the X-Up there. You're not putting them in a suit like this because it's not enhancing their abilities. It's actually preventing them from using them for until it's destroyed. In which case, then, drop them without the suit. Put other people in the suit because now you got more people on the ground. That's a better use of resources. True, you don't have the whole, oh my god, there were X-Ups inside. You don't have that moment. But why do you care about that moment? Because remember, this isn't supposed to be the sequence of decisions from the comic book writer or comic book artist. It's not supposed. What I'm supposed to be reading here is not their decisions. I'm supposed to be reading the decisions of the President of the United States within this story. These are dumb decisions. Okay? So he's an idiot. Why should I consider him a threat? Why should I consider him, the Joint Chiefs, anyone that? Why should I consider any of them a threat? When I'm like, hey, this is stupid. When I'm just like, you're wasting resources. You could have more people on the ground. Some that are immediately using their abilities to their greatest effect. While other people are just, they are providing support. Or maybe the X-Ups supplying support to the dudes in the suits. Whatever. I'm saying, why are you not doing that? Oh, but then the X-Ups can be shot. Well, what does that really matter? You've dropped them in so rapidly in a way that doesn't make any sense, but it's like you just drop them in so rapidly that there's little response to them to begin with. They're not really getting shot at. And even then, the suits are getting destroyed by conventional weapons anyway. So how useful are the suit? Yeah, so the general and his crew, they go in. Discover that, yeah, there are X-Ups in there. And by the way, I just want to point out, this is something that I find annoying. It happens here, it happens a little later as well. I don't know why we have this, oh, if you're super strong, that also makes you bulletproof. I don't get that. I really don't. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're fine, you're really strong, you got big, strong, thick muscles. A bullet is still going to pierce your flesh. Okay, I mean, it's like that muscles don't become bulletproof just because you're stronger. Okay, and so now true, I don't think that's necessarily been tested, but I mean, you're not going to have bullets bouncing off like what's shown here just because somebody's strong. That doesn't follow. Okay, that's a separate ability entirely. Okay, now it might be, hey, the dude that has a whole bunch of muscles on him, okay, yes, that is more mass that a bullet would have to pass through to reach vital organs. So in that way, he's a little bit more protected. But flesh is still kind of soft. And it still is they wouldn't be bouncing off. They would still be piercing and embedding into the skin and the fat layer between the skin and the muscle. Right? So they'd still be doing flesh wounds, if not truly reaching in and damaging the muscles. But still, it's like you keep ting, 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 ting. That's not happening, okay? I'm sorry. That's not how it would work. And technically, I think that would also apply to the Hulk, who is typically also depicted as that. So anyway, yeah, they're going after the different refineries and such, including ones at Flores Park. So naturally, Avery and a friend of his, I don't remember what the name is, I don't know if I need to care or not. They, being boys, seeing a missile land, decide, I'm going to go investigate. Okay, yeah, I understand that. And they should not have, because basically the dude inside that decides, I guess I'm going to kill some kids. Okay. They somehow managed to run, dodging the heat-seeking missiles, it seems. They're definitely seeking, because it shows them turning after being fired. And the dude definitely has, like, thermal vision. We see that as well, so I'd assume that the missiles are heat-seeking. But no, they managed to run away. Nonsense, but whatever. They're running. And encounter Avery's mother, who apparently has super strength, as we will see shortly. But it cuts back to the fight with the general's men, who they managed to destroy the suit that another one of the X-Ups is in. And this X-Up, what's special about her? Apparently absolute zero, like she can touch things and cause them to go to absolute zero. Okay, not technically shouldn't be that simple, but I mean it's superhero fantasy. I get that. I'm okay with that kind of power, but this annoys me. Ever hear of Bose-Einstein condensate? Yes, I in fact have heard of that. I know what that is, and it says that's what I am. Okay, let me tell you what a Bose-Einstein constant is, because you are not. It is true that you need these to be very, very cold, but flash drives again. Yes, they're two identical. This one's actually dead, but I haven't like destroyed it or anything. So, and in Bose-Einstein, well, typically particles. Not typically, particles always have some sort of waveform to them. They can be described as a wave, right? And typically, when they're just there, they're different. They're different waves, right? Because they're different particles. In a Bose-Einstein condensate, which, by the way, liquid helium at least can be an example of this. I'm not sure if it always... I'm pretty sure liquid helium is. Maybe it's liquid hydrogen. No, whichever. In a Bose-Einstein condensate, it is so cold that the most comfortable way, you might say, the easiest way to get into a ground state for those particles is for them to take on a single waveform. So instead of having a million particles that are all their own, they have their own waves to them, it now acts as though it is one single particle. They all share that. They are, I'm going to say they are coherent. I'm not sure if that's actually the correct term in quantum mechanics. Forgive me, but yeah, it still is. That's what's going on there. So one particle, one atom of helium, I'm pretty sure liquid helium is an example of this. At least it can be. Is indistinguishable from all the others in the condensate. That would require then that this person who's saying I am a Bose-Einstein constant to be a single material throughout, to have no distinction between any two particles, like between the neurons of her brain, which would mean then she would lose identity because her brain would basically cease to be a bunch of cells working together. It would be, well, a single particle, which wouldn't even have consciousness anymore. If you're going to use a scientific term, research it. Don't just name drop it like, oh, yes, isn't this cool? Isn't this interesting? Because, hey, I'm using a real scientific term. Yeah, but you're using it wrong. And there are people like me who I'm going to notice that and be like, yeah, it makes you look stupid. Because I know that isn't what this is. Bose-Einstein constants are actually kind of cool. Another name for them is a superfluid. Because an aspect of them sharing the single state also means that within it, there's zero friction. It's really neat. But they're just talking about it being cold. It's like, that's fine. You can have a super cold liquid. It doesn't need to be a Bose-Einstein constant. It's totally irrelevant if it's a Bose-Einstein constant for what's going on here, even. I mean, it just... It's also, like we're seeing tink, 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 tink when being shot. It's a liquid. The shots would just go through. In fact, would go through very easily because, hey, there's no friction within the material itself, so it could easily move out of the way to allow the bullet through. Technically, at the interface between the condensate and between the superfluid and the bullet or the air, there can be friction, but the movement within the volume, that would be incredibly easy because no friction. Yeah, there's also that issue too. She has the neck collar on. Or a neck collar on to control her, which presumably is also one with C4 in there, which, yeah, that's true. If she's actually pushing towards absolute zero, that means that you can stop the chemical reaction that is the explosion, that would be the explosion of the C4, which would mean she's immune to the collar. Son of a... This would be an uncontrollable person. How did they even trap her? It's like, Because again, with this whole superfluid stuff, if she can make herself into that, then she can flow through any crack. Consequences to decisions. I'm technical. I see this stuff and I start working through the consequences, and it falls apart. Anyway, so yeah, because Avery was being attacked, Mama was like, go home. And also to the friend, go home. She's going to take care of this. And, so she's getting shot up, and it's like, she's not big. She's seems like an average size, physically fit, but still average size African-American woman. And she's just, the shot's just bouncing off because, again, it's okay, I guess, and she is displayed as having super strength as well. So it's like, oh, yeah, we're again doing that whole, hey, you're super strong. There's no increase in body mass or anything like that, but that makes you impervious to bullets. But she starts fighting. Her clothes are getting shredded. Well, not really. Her shirt is getting shredded. And it's actually kind of funny, and I'm not... It's, again, one of those just consistency things, because it's like... The Sub-Zero... The Absolute Zero woman, she's been thrown into the water, so she's actually now just frozen in ice, but is nude. And now I've got Avery's mom, who her shirt is being destroyed, but the bra underneath is completely undamaged. And it's like... I'm not saying you have to expose her, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, why does she have a super bra? Because, let there be some damage. You don't need to expose her, but you can still do something to show that there is damage there. Because otherwise, it's like literally, because I wear an undershirt. It's like, this is getting, like, the bullet goes through this and stops on this. That makes no sense, okay? Have some consistency here. And just do it tastefully so that you're not exposing her. You can do that. But it's... I'm like, in a shot there, but it's kind of hard to tell. I'm thinking a later image might be... Yeah. Hopefully this comes through right here. It's like, you can see her shirt is shredded, but the bra, absolutely nothing. It's perfectly intact. But there are holes over, and it's torn over where the bra is. And earlier, like when you're seeing her first getting shot, okay, that's too far back. Like you were seeing it because of where she's being, you can tell where she's being shot because of the tears in the clothing, and it is directly over her breast. So it would be hitting the bra as well, but no, that's perfectly intact. And it's like, you can put damage in there. You don't need to fully expose it, but put some damage there so it's consistent. So anyway, she's super strong, is fighting. But then Avery runs up, because she gets a car dropped on her, the dude in the suit's attacking her. So Avery runs up and jumps and just slam into the leg of the thing and knocks it over. So it's like, okay, he has super strength as well. Because clearly, there's no way that a kid... he does not look like he's gone through puberty. He might still be, 13 years old, but he's not... He doesn't look like he's gone through the growth spurt yet. But he is able to knock into the ankle of this thing to knock the thing over. Get somehow to the helmet and is ripping that off. It's metal. And is then punching the guy in the face such that he's really hurting him. And he is an exep. And it's like he's kind of monstrous looking too. So it's like it would seem reasonable. He is also very strong. But no, it's like Avery's just able to do it. So he's freakishly strong as well. This has not been suggested previously that this is the case. That he's been keeping the secret or anything like that. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess we just need to accept that. Which I'm not saying that as I have a deep problem with this. It's more of a... You're just like Deus Ex Machina here. It's like, oh, yeah. She just has super strength. He has super strength too. Yeah, this is how it is. It's like, okay. It just... I get you need to reveal it somehow. It just feels like this was overly convenient. Where it's like, oh, now that the monster's attacking, now we're going to show it. As opposed to anything earlier. Like, even just, hey, they were at the aunt's house. And maybe the aunt knows, maybe doesn't. If the aunt doesn't know, then just have a conversation between the mother and Avery saying, look, you can't, she doesn't, or even she does know, Well, she knows about me. She doesn't know about you. We need to keep it that way. So please don't do anything to tip off. And also just, it's her home. We don't want to damage it. Okay? We really don't want to do that. It's like you could do something like that to either set up or just straight up inform people that that's the case. But instead, no, it's waiting until we have a monster to fight. I think it was mentioned earlier, but I'm gonna only talk about it here because now, the assault has ended. The people have been fought off. Well, enough anyway. So we get the governor's speech. We have weathered the storm today as we have weathered them before, but there will be more storms coming as the skies darken to the north. And we will weather them too. There have been losses, there have been pain, there's more to come. But we're standing tall, and we'll stay that way. It's the way that we're built. It's the way this land made us. Like the man said, if I owned hell and owned Texas, I'd live in hell and rent out Texas. Well, we've been rented out too long, beholden too long. It's past time Texans lived as they were meant to live, free, unencumbered, choosing our own path, living under our own flag. One star, all our own. One people we call Texans, yada yada yada. We will never, God is my witness, give up our freedom or our flag for anyone ever again. And I'm just like, wait a minute. What does freedom have to do with this? The start of this was the cartel ambushing and killing like 14 people, because there were a dozen killed on the ground by a suicide bomber, 20 maimed, and then there were two dudes in a helicopter that were shot down by the cartel. That's not to do with freedom. Nothing that has happened here is about freedom. It's about security. And not in a, security can jeopardize freedom kind of way. It's no, we need to protect our borders. Like, we got criminals. We need to do something about that. This has nothing to do with freedom. Why are we talking about freedom? I get the whole appeal to freedom to get people to do stuff, but it's like, how were you not free before? What are your actions doing that will bring you to freedom? I mean, it's like, fine. You might be like, well, they have to answer to the federal government. It's like, okay, and where's the problem there? What is it that's going on here that is the motivation for you to be against the federal government? Okay, what is that? I have no idea. There's nothing to suggest that. It's just lip service to a principle that, hey, yes, I get that. It is an important principle. Freedom is very important. I understand that. But that's not what this war is about. It's never been depicted as that. What is this? I'm very unimpressed. And again, I know I said this at the end of the last one. I'll say it this as well. Is this just how comic books are? I genuinely, because am I just too used to reading novels when it comes to fiction? And there having to be these things being consistent, these things being thought out and talked out. I don't, forgive me for putting it like that with thought out. I'm not, well, to me, I don't consider this thought out, because to me, I'm just reading this and my brain is naturally thinking these things through. That's just how I'm wired. And I get not everyone is like that. So I shouldn't, I do not mean to be insulting by saying that this wasn't thought out. It very possibly was. It's just, it's not being presented in a way that I'm seeing that the thought there. That's more so what I mean, and why I said not talked out. Because I don't see that here. How is freedom going on here? How is there an issue of freedom here? There's an issue of security. There's an issue of sovereignty. Yes, those aren't freedom. That's a different thing. So it's just I'm I am not impressed. Thus far, next up is Salvage PI. We'll see how that goes. Then getting the polymath. Then we get to ISOM. And it's also, I should point that out. It is possible that these are themes that at the time of Isom, which Avery, I'm pretty sure, is Isom. Pretty sure that is his name. And that's he's a full-grown man in Isom. So this is definitely earlier. Maybe it is these are themes that are explained there, but they're not being explained here, even though this is canonically earlier, it was published later. So maybe it's something like that. Which is I got that. I can understand that, but then it is so this book is only going to be confusing unless you read the other stuff. And it's also going to be confusing unless you don't read it in the order it's in this, but jump around to read it in the publication order, which isn't given in this. Are you seeing my problems here? And I also just want to mention this. Not true, no one has read it. Because no one reads my stuff. That's okay. But The Children of Many Gifts, that's first time I've written a true sequel. Right? I've written things where it's like, another story in the same universe, but not truly a sequel. This is the first one. I was so concerned when writing it that it would it wouldn't be necessary to have read Failure. All right? And it's like I thought about that while I was writing it, while I was editing it. It's like, okay, is this a reference to something that I need to explain? And if it is, okay, then either I explain it or I cut it out. There are also some things in there that I don't explain. Which, because I decided, you know what, no, it's not fitting here to have the explanation. And I'll just be like, okay, hand wave it away. And you or have a half explanation where if we want, hopefully enough for somebody to just be able to keep reading, but if you want the full explanation, you have to read Failure. And it's actually a number of things that are kind of sort of like that within the story itself as well, where it's just, well, yeah, it is a question. You should ask that question. That's a fine question to ask. Here's the thing, though. The person with the answer is not the person we're following the point of view of. So you don't get the answer. Do have moments like that. But still, it was basically, those were moments where it's like, okay, here's the reason why I'm not telling you. This, I don't know if that's the case here. But it definitely is feeling to me like these are not complete stories. These are not stories that you can read and understand thus far. Maybe the later ones will be better at this. Well, later ones in this. In the... Like, this later, not later as in published later. But maybe those will do a better job with being complete, where you don't need to know the other stories in order for it to make sense. I should absolutely acknowledge this. As much of this criticism that I have, these are still, thus far, much more interesting. Both Great War of Separation 1 and 2 are much more interesting to me than Norfolka or Zaylan. Much more interesting. I must state that. In fact, I will even add that to my notes right now. Both Great War of Separation 1 and 2, I find more interesting than Norfolka and Zaylan, because I feel some kind of connection and grounding with these people, because they are human and on Earth and with relatable concerns. Yeah. That's huge. Now, that doesn't improve the my opinions of them at the moment, unfortunately. Well, technically that does make it a little bit better for them, but so I was just saving. That's why you got the Windows chime there. But it's then, okay, well, there's all these technical issues as well. So it's like, yeah, you're better in this way, but you're worse in this way. So not that those didn't have technical concerns, but it's like, I don't know what's going on with Zaylan. I don't understand that. And Norfolka didn't make sense either, because like that Solaris guy. No, wait. Suitor. He is peerless in that comic book, in that story. there is no one comparable to him in powers for what is shown. So why is he talking as though, oh, no one takes me seriously, no one respects me, no one fears me? It's like, what the hell are you talking about? You're the most powerful being depicted thus far. I mean, Zaylin would kick his ass, it seems, for the feats he's got, but it's like, how are you not the most powerful here? Why are the Asgards, you're acting as though they're above you? Nothing has been shown to indicate that. So it's like, that's like, okay, I'm not interested in this because I don't see any way that makes sense. This, at least, it's like, okay, I understand humans because I am a human. So it's like, at least there's that. You've got those connections there. I got other problems with it, but at least I have those connections there. So it does have that advantage. It is more interesting that way. But, yeah, so we'll just salvage and Gooding. I'm actually most interested as I look here. Oh, wow, Alpha Core is not for quite a while. Okay. Alpha Core is not till near the end. I was just curious about that because I would think that some of the Alpha Core stuff connects back to the Great War Separation because I think some of the characters in that are veterans of it. So I am curious about that. I mean, obviously, Ice Almond's life, he's also been impacted by that, and we'll be getting to that before long. And plenty of other people that will also be impacted by it, before getting there. It's just, wow, that is actually quite a distance. All right. I'm certain that has been more than enough of my yapping. See you next time, which, if I am correct in how I will be releasing these, this should come out on a Friday because it's the 5th video overall. So next one will be Monday because I'm taking the weekends off of videos coming out so that I can spend time making the videos to ultimately give me more free time to be able to work on other things like writing a book. Which, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting just because I'm getting so critical here, and in part for technical reasons, and that story that it's the second draft of it. Part of the reason I'm doing the second draft is I was too technical, I think, with the first one, just spending way too much time on things. I want to try to condense that, but keep some technical. So it's going to be interesting to see how the energy I'm getting out of this might translate to that. It will be interesting to see. Anyway, see you next time.